learners, how are you today? We do hope that you are doing well.
Last time, you learned about the respiratory and circulatory system as well as the healthy lifestyle. Today, you will learn another lesson in science. Before we proceed to our discussion, let's check out our first and most essential learning competency.
Don't worry because I, Sir Norberto Cuban,
And I, Ms. Jocelyn Bangibang,
your teachers for today, will discuss to you how all this happened. In your grade 8 science, you learned about the basic of genetics. You learned that cells divide to produce new cells, and meiosis is one of the processes producing genetic variation in Mendelian pattern of inheritance. You have also learned about the Mendelian genetics and its three laws of principles of inheritance, which are the law of dominance, the law of segregation, and the law of independent assortment.
but there are also patterns of inheritance that do not follow Mendelian three laws of principles, and these were called as the Non-Mendelian patterns of inheritance.
Before we continue with the non-Mendelian pattern of inheritance, let us have a review of terminologies which can help you understand our lesson better. First term, we have genetics. It is defined as the branch of biology that deals with the study of genes, genetic variation, and heredity among organisms. We also have the term inheritance. Inheritance is a process in which genetic information is passed on from a parent to their offspring.
Any difference between cells, individual organisms, group of organisms of any species is called variation. A gene is a unit of heredity. It is also a section of the deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA that codes for a specific trait in an organism.
We also have the genotype and the phenotype. Genotype is the genetic makeup of an organism and its combination of two alleles. Phenotype, on the other hand, is the physical feature or trait of an organism, and then to put it simple, it is the physical appearance of an organism. For example, I have here two flowers. So what do you think is the genotype of the first flower? Yes, that's right. The genotype is... How about the second flower? Correct, it is. So that's the genetic makeup of the two flowers.
Meanwhile, what do you think is the phenotype of the first flower? Absolutely, it is red, and the phenotype of the second flower is white. It is their physical appearance as shown in the picture. That is the difference between a genotype and a phenotype. Let us also define homozygous and heterozygous. When we say homozygous, this means having two identical alleles of a particular gene. On the other hand, heterozygous means having two different alleles of a particular gene.
We also have the Punnett square. It is a graphical representation of the possible genotypes of an offspring, arising from a particular cross-breeding event. Now, let us proceed with non-Mendelian pattern of inheritance. As what is mentioned earlier, it is a type of inheritance wherein the pattern of phenotypes do not coincide with those that was represented in the Mendelian law of inheritance.
Let us discuss them one by one, starting with incomplete dominance. It is form of intermediate inheritance in which one allele does not completely dominate another allele, which results to a new phenotype. Example of this can be observed in a snapdragon flower. A red snapdragon flower crossed with white snapdragon flower results to a pink snapdragon flower. One allele does not dominate another allele, which results to a new phenotype, which is the pink snapdragon flower.
We can use homozygous red flower as the genotype for the red snapdragon flower, and homozygous white flower for the white snapdragon flower. Crossing the phenotypes downward, we will get red flower as the product in each box. So while combining them sideward, we will get white flower as the product. Combining them will result to 4 pink flowers. Each box of offsprings in the Punnett square is equal to 25%. We can use this in computing the total probability of an offspring to appear in the breeding event. Let us identify the genotypes of the offspring in our example. Crossing red snapdragon with white snapdragon flower will result to 100% pink flowers. How about the phenotype? The physical appearance of the offspring when we cross red snapdragon flower with white snapdragon flower is 100% pink flower.
Let us now proceed with the second non-Mendelian pattern of inheritance, which is the codominance. In codominance, both alleles are expressed equally in the phenotype of the heterozygote. For example, a red cow mates with a white cow will result to a 100% roan cow. Thus, both alleles or both appearances are expressed equally.
Let us now proceed to the third non-Mendelian pattern of inheritance, which is the multiple alleles. Mendel studied just 2 alleles of his pigeons, but real population often have multiple alleles of a given gene. In this example, you will learn how to cross the genes for coat color in rabbits, which comes in 4 color alleles: black, chinchilla, Himalayan, and albino. Here is the example of the cross between black rabbit and chinchilla. Some traits are controlled by sex-related inheritance. In humans, sex is determined by XX chromosomes for females and XY chromosomes for males. Sex-related inheritance can be categorized in 3 ways. A. Sex-linked traits which are determined by genes located in the sex chromosomes. B. Sex-influenced traits which occur when phenotypes are different between males and females with the same genotype. And C. Sex-limited traits are those traits that can only be expressed in one sex or the other.
Sex-limited traits are generally autosomal, which means that they are not found on the X and Y chromosomes. Sex-limited traits are those that are expressed exclusively in one sex. However, sex-influenced traits are expressed in both sexes but more frequently in one than in the other sex. Several sex-linked genes were also discovered in human beings. An example is color blindness. The ability to discriminate between the colors red and green is controlled by the gene located in the X chromosome. Inability to distinguish between 2 colors is due to the recessive allele of this gene. Sex-linked traits are inherited through the sex chromosomes. Males have only 1 X chromosome. Thus, if they inherit the affected X, they will have the disorder. Females have 2 X chromosomes. Therefore, they can inherit or carry the trait without being affected. This acts in a recessive manner.
Examine the given sample problem. I hope you have learned a lot today.
Stay tuned and see you next time.
Happy learning!